Let's do it.
Matthew,
Hello,
we are
hello, hello.
recording. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay. So I tried to say your last name and I think I'm making it more complicated. So I'm going to let you say your last name so it's done right.
That's fair. My name is Matthew Starobykhovskiy. Most people know me as Matt Star.
Matt Star. Ooh, I like it. Because you're a rock star.
Like,
I
yeah,
love it.
girl.
I love
Appreciate
it. So just like a quick thing, I learned about you from joining the low equity lead gen semester and oh my gosh, so awesome, so much value, such great content. I love the way you approached it. I love the dynamic between you and the other hosts.
Thank
Like,
you.
there was a little bit of something from everybody as far as like the approach that you guys take.
Mhm.
Um, and you were so consistent and just so thoughtful about what you did and how you said things. And man, if I needed to sell my house, I would totally sell it to you any day. The way that you approached it was so good, so spot on. So
I appreciate
and then I got to meet you at SquadUp. I saw you down the aisle and I was like, oh, that's Matt. Oh my God. I'm going
it.
to be rude and I'm going to interrupt and I got to say hi. So I did it. And then here we are. I
I
love
love
it.
it. I
I'm
love it. Good
so
thing.
excited. So, okay. So, real quick, that's how I know of you, but how did you
Mhm.
get into real estate?
Oh my word. So I come from a background of being a personal trainer, have a degree in nutrition, and that was like my lifelong path. I used to weigh 300 pounds. I lost 125 pounds between leaving high school and getting into college, was pre-pharmacy, and I worked for a pharmacy for about 2 weeks. Realized that it's miserable and it's not the kind of environment I like. I like talking to people, I like building relationships. And so I continue to grow my personal training business, my online coaching business. And then my younger brother actually got hired as a dispositions manager for a wholesale company out here in LA. And very quickly, I realized that my brother's job seems more fun than mine. And honestly, he's making more money. And I'm like, holy cow, what's going on? So my brother had worked with that company for about 3, 4 months. He learned a lot of different skills. And he was like, Matt, let's do this together. And basically, from that day forward, me and my brother had been plugging away at real estate, figuring things out. We were in a very cash heavy, novation type business model for a very long time. And then we hit kind of a choke point where I was spending so much on marketing, so much on VAs and all these different operating expenses and not seeing the ROI that I needed.
Yeah.
And then I found Pace. I got my first deal watching the Creative Finance Masterclass with Pace and Jerry. Literally the day that I sold my seller finance deal, I called my enrollment director. I'm like, whatever you're selling, I'm buying. Let's go. and basically, and basically from that day forward, my perspective on real estate had entirely changed. It was no longer transactional, but
Yeah.
rather relational.
Yeah.
The who, not how, was something I was able to internalize to a different level when I understood Pace's true business model, understanding how to lead with value and formally structure relationships that are evergreen. And slowly but surely, I continued my journey in Sub 2 until I eventually met Mike Jackson and Don Walker. They brought me on as a closer for the Dumbo Dial, which is part of the Elephant Challenge. That was my first taste at doing deals in volume. And I realized
Mm,
how powerful the low equity niche was, especially because we're within this kind of golden window of data where we're pulling our list from properties that were bought 2 years ago and interest rates are 2, 3, and 4%. Beautiful. If we fast forward 2 years from now and we look back at that same data, we're looking at the five, sixes, sevens, and eights. So I realized that I've been positioned by God for a very special opportunity. And I continued to work with them. I was doing great, but I always had this pull to work with other students and connect with other students. And being a closer for a very focused team wasn't necessarily the best fit. So my enrollment director, she started sending me new students. And she was like, Matt, you do great with new students. Help them get their first deal. And it worked a few times. And then what I realized was this is the potential to turn into a business model. And then Pace had the 18-minute challenge. That was in December of last year at the very end of the year. And I put my team together. I have a team now of Gators, sub 2 students, top tier, just new students who have never gotten their first deal and they want that guidance, that yellow brick road.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing. And it's been an incredibly fulfilling journey now. I have a team of almost 30 people that are first time students that are learning, growing, and we have this very active and supportive environment. And it's just been really empowering. And I'm really grateful for Pace because he positioned me as a leader with the low equity course. So it gave me a level of a platform to show what I really can do and how I can serve. And I take from the guy who created this whole community and I try to lead with value, be a servant leader. So that's kind of been my journey in real estate so far.
Oh my gosh. Oh
It's
my
been great.
gosh.
God is good.
I love it. I love it. You are amazing. I mean, the epitome of the go-giver mindset, right? I love it.
Try.
And you know what's awesome? I think people and I'm speaking from experience, I think people get so jaded with the people that they're around at work or, at school or in just in life in general, whatever, their family, right? The people that you're around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can get jaded because not everybody has that giver mentality. It's taker.
Yeah.
And so then you get jaded by that because it's like, okay, I want to give, but then now I feel like I'm being used. And so then you get stingy with
Mm-hmm.
giving. And
Mm-hmm.
the problem is not you wanting to give, it's the people that you're around,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And and the great thing is that when you get around the right people and you're giving like that, you get so much more back. It's not like you are just giving and not receiving in return. Not that you're giving to receive, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Absolutely.
You don't feel like you're getting taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And then it makes you feel like you want to give more and more. And it's just, oh my gosh. And
Absolutely.
I could go religious and just talk about how there's so much in the
Absolutely.
Bible that talks about that too.
Amen.
But
Amen.
then we're off on bunny trails and I'm not trying to do that. So I'll stay focused.
Fair. I
Okay.
love it. I love it.
So we got together because I'm reaching out to everybody I met at SquadUp to talk about their three goals.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the three goals that we all had to choose and
Mm-hmm.
that we were going to focus on accomplishing in the next 60 days. So tell me about your first goal that you
Absolutely.
have picked. Yes.
So my first goal, and it's my largest priority, it's to help the people that have been on my team get their first deal. To me, that is the most empowering, incredible experience because I was able to lean into leaders in our community when I got into the group and get my first deal. So knowing that I can be that type of resource for my team, and honestly, not just my team, but anybody who reaches out to me, I try to serve.
Yeah.
So if I could help people get their first deal, I just know the feeling of getting off of that, breaking through the glass ceiling, and you get proof of concept. And then that desire and that hunger, it only grows. It's a fire. So just seeing that in people that are on my team that have had their first deal and those that aren't but are continuing to pursue, that drives me. That's the reason why I wake up. And the income becomes such a byproduct. I do want
Right.
to touch very
Exactly.
quickly on what you were just talking about just prior.
Okay.
I think that being a giver is really important, but you have to give with no expectations. And
Right.
that's
Yes.
what I trained myself to do. It's like I give, 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 and don't worry about it. Don't expect anything back. But then when people do reciprocate, because it is a human law, like it's human nature, we do like to reciprocate. At least the good
Yes.
people will. It just
Yes.
becomes such a good up. It becomes a blessing. I'm like, holy cow, I'm getting something out of this. Like, let's go. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
that's probably my biggest overarching goal.
Mhm.
Um, we're targeting low equity. So a lot of the people on my team are making prospecting calls and they're hustling, making their dials, hitting their KPIs. So for me, it's giving them the proof of concept and then building something special with them. That's where we're
Okay.
at.
Okay. All right. So I'm curious, how are you handling the mindset part of
Mm.
it, right? Because they're making these calls. They probably haven't made these calls before. How do you work through that?
I think empowering people through education and giving them like a true dependable support system that's above all else. So like my team, my end all be all focus because we're all new students, it's constantly training, call calibration, sales training, 3 times a week, we do continued education. Every day we meet in the morning. The first thing we do, we have a morning meeting at 10 a.m. PST. We share gratitude. That is the only thing we do. We hop on there and we share what am I grateful for the day. As soon as we end our gratitude, we go into optional meetings where we do trainings. And then we have a virtual office where anybody who needs me can jump in and they always have access to me. So I think empowering people and knowing that they're not doing this alone, because this is such an overwhelming space, especially when you first step into real estate. You have like 19 things that you could do and you want to do it all, but you don't know how to do anything. So you try to steer yourself in a direction. And
Yeah.
my vision is to just be a person for others that can serve, and God willing, things will bear fruit.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I think as a leader that's the recipe, right? We have to provide the resources, the tools, the training, the support, and be there as the sounding board when they need to vent,
Yeah. 100%.
brainstorm, right? All those things. That's how we help others. Okay, so that's your first goal. And how are you going to measure success? Like how many is it is it
Absolutely.
good? Is it success when it's just one, or are you
My so of my team, because a lot of us are part-time, we have W-2s. I've kind of counted it out. I have at least 9 team members that deserve a deal in the next 60 days that have been
okay?
hustling, busting their butt. So for me, it's a matter of I want to be doing 7 deals a month with my group, and I want them to be the ones that are bearing fruit. So over the next 2 months, I'm expecting our team to at least do 5 a month so that those new students can have their first taste. And from there, I think there is a powerful snowball effect. And I've seen it in my own life and I've seen it in some students' lives. So that's how we're
Yes.
gonna measure it.
Okay. All right. So we know how we're going to measure it. What's your second goal?
Mm. My second goal is to pivot out of assignment as my primary exit strategy. I want to start exiting my deals on a contract for deed, which is an executory contract or a wrap, you can
Yeah.
call it. And primarily why it's because I love assigning my deals to homestead buyers, helping families get their first home, right? But there's a lot of risk for me as a sub two buyer. And assigning that kind of deal to a homeowner, a lot of the times, it's unfortunate to say, but a lot of homeowners who are first buying their first homestead that's a sub two, they're spending every dime to their name. And that's
Mm,
a risky situation. And I have to keep the seller's interests in my heart at all times. So
yeah.
for me, if I could exit the deal on a contract for deed or a wrap, I have so much more control to protect the seller who trusted me with their credit, with their financial
Yeah.
future. It's a heavy weight on my chest. So that's one of my biggest things is I don't feel comfortable assigning. I love to assign to our sub two community because we're taught and there's ethics and there's morals. But when you go to the outside community of investors or homestead buyers, there isn't that level of that.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that I'm protecting those people. And honestly, the goal behind that is it's a little bit of a bigger one. By the end of the year, my dream is to do 50 wraps, and I want to build a portfolio of these notes. So I want my team members to cash flow for the first time, and then we've all
Mm,
talked about it. We want to build up a portfolio of notes and then sell it off to a note investor, have a lump sum of cash that we can all divest into self storage. That's my dream asset class that I want to
ooh.
fun
I
stuff.
love it. I haven't heard anybody talk about self-storage, and it is, I mean,
Oh man, we could sit here
they're
for an
everywhere.
it, in my opinion, I'll give you the skinny on it. In my opinion, it is the most profitable asset class, specifically for add value situations. It's the
Yeah.
lowest cost per door that you can get in commercial real estate. And the reason why that's so important, and I'll throw this out as kind of like an analogy. Let's say me and you bought an apartment building and we wanted to raise the rents by 20%. What do you
Mhm.
think is the outcome of us doing that?
People are going to move.
We lose a bunch of tenants. We have
Yeah.
turnover. Now, let's say me and you bought a self storage facility and we raise the price by 20%. It'll go up $5. It's going to take more work for the tenants to take their stuff
That's
out than to pay the
true.
additional $5. But
They
here's
will pay
the
it.
but here's the power. Commercial real estate is all valued based on net operating income, not based on sales comps. So when me and you raise the rents on a self storage facility, we're also increasing our value of our asset tenfold, right? So it's
Oh
a
my
very,
gosh.
very powerful asset class. And there's so much more that I can get into with it. But in my opinion, it is, other than a triple net lease and a few other products, it is one of the best ways to invest in real estate. And God willing, it actually, this leans into my third goal, which is start a fund so that I can get into self storage.
I love it. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. Okay. Okay, so measuring success on the self-storage. What's the, because you said by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So what kind of action steps can you
Absolutely.
take in these 60 days
So
to
in
reach that? Yeah.
I love that. So in the first 60 days, I want us to do our final set of assignments so that we have enough operating capital to
Yeah.
start exiting on that wrap. Once we
Okay.
start exiting on the wrap, now we're going to start building that portfolio of those notes so that God willing, we have enough to sell to an investor at, 80% LTV or whatever it'll be. But that's the vision. It's right now focus on just build the pipeline, help team members get their first deal, and then transition their first deal from being just a check one off to first time getting cash flow in their entire lives. That's the 60 days right there.
Gosh. Oh my gosh. So much value in that. I love, you're bringing them along with you, right? Like this
Absolutely.
is your what you want to do, but you're bringing your team along with you. That is, yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. Okay, so we just went through step one, two, and three. Goal one, two, and three. Okay, so are you looking at a particular market to have these self-storage units? Where do you want
Mm,
to start on that?
you know what? I think for the most part, I'm location agnostic. For me, the
Okay,
priority really is going to be finding the right deal. And I think that's where the things should start.
yeah,
Um, I think when I get further into my journey and closer to that phase, I may have a different answer for you. But
okay,
right now, like for example, my low equity marketing, we go nationwide pretty much just below the Sun Belt. So we run into
okay.
deals all over the map. Funny enough, I was running around like a chicken without my head at SquadUp because I have a property that was 35 minutes from the hotel. I was running around like, guys, buy my deal, buy my deal, buy my deal. So that's kind of where I am right now. And I've learned very quickly that the success of my team has a choke point, and that's me. I'm the upper limit. So one of my other goals that I didn't circle, but I need to find a partner, a high level operator, somebody who's smarter than me, honestly, who I can lean into and build something special with. So that's one of my other
Mhm.
big goals over the next 60 days.
You need, so it sounds like you're the visionary and you need an integrator. Is that
Very, very much.
fair? Okay. Got it. All right. So attention integrators, if this lines up with what you're looking for,
Yeah, I love the
how
shout.
do they get a hold of you, Matt?
Well, anybody can feel free to text my personal number. My number is
Okay.
818-564-9670. That's the easiest way to reach me. I love sending voice messages to people, so that'll probably be the way that I communicate with you guys. Other than that, you can hit me up on Instagram. My Instagram is at House Huncho. It's a little funny, but I like it. It's fun. So house spelled like the word house and Huncho, Huncho. Had to think about
Okay. Okay. So that's on Instagram?
it. Instagram, yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Good
Oh
deal.
my gosh. Such good. Okay, so now we're gonna circle back in 60 days to
I love it.
see how it's going
Heck yeah.
and what the next steps are.
I love it. Stephanie,
I
you're
love
putting
it.
some pressure on me, a little bit more of that healthy
Just a little
pressure.
bit.
I love
Just
it
a
though.
little bit.
That's how diamonds are made. So I'm here for
Yeah.
it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, for me, part of my challenge has been since joining Sub 2 is how can I give value? How can I help others? And so I figured this is one little way that I can do that.
Don't undermine it. I think you're providing so much perspective to those that are going to watch this. You're going to plant so many seeds in people's minds. And through the relationships you're building, you're also kind of going to be a little bit of a connector. You're going to help people get connected with the right people. And you're doing God's work. I have to say,
Yeah.
like, it may not feel like it at the moment, but you are serving the community at a really high level by creating this type of connection. I'm grateful.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Actually, that's
Absolutely.
besides trying to be more consistent with my social media and my podcast, that actually is one of my goals to bring more God into this world in any
Man.
way that I can. So,
And
the fact that you mentioned that yes, that actually is on my list. So I
I love
appreciate
that.
you saying that. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. I
Absolutely.
can't wait to see what's going on in 60 days.
Absolutely. Thank you for
Thank
having me. I'm
you.
grateful to be
Yes.
here.
All right.